Hey, operators, welcome. When you're in full control of your mindset, you become empowered to do things others won't. But what you have to realize is that your brain has been programmed. And what it's been programmed with is not necessarily true, and it's keeping you trapped from experiencing the life that you know you deserve. And so since your conception, you've been inundated with this data, some of it useful, but much of it not. And you've probably done things to belong, to fit in, out of the desire to be included, accepted. You've allowed others to define what was acceptable so you could feel worthy of their love, their affection, or acknowledgement. Even the institutes of education have set the boundaries deciding for you your levels of achievement and whether or not you're intellectually worthy. And that's the worst part. That feeling of unworthiness and believing that you are not good enough, stunting you like you've been frozen in time by the fear of failing to live up to somebody else's idea of success. And so there exists this ginormous gap in the full understanding of how to accurately evaluate human performance. We have collectively handed over our power to others to define what's considered normal or not normal for our own experience. Personality profiles and analytics haven't changed much over the years, and they're easily manipulated, and the results often vary between tests. But what if there existed a new model? A model that didn't have intake questions, those questions that are filled with misconceptions or heavily weighted in a specific direction. A system that took into account all the categories of human performance and not just our intellectual. Let's have a look and examine these categories of performance. So the one that we're most familiar with being the intellectual performance. These people are known to easily express ideas and communicate them effectively, either through gathering information from others or innovating new solutions. A recent one that we're probably more familiar with as well recently is the emotional performance. People who consistently exhibit traits like being understanding or service-orientated, empathic, sincere, and they're often dependable in managing and collaborating with others. But what about our motivational performance? These people who are largely charming, driven, optimistic, persuasive, and are motivators of others. They're capable of working cohesively with diverse teams and bringing harmony to group dynamics and networks. What about our ability to practically perform? These people are known as being resourceful, dependable, precise, compliant, and methodical, and are often valued as the real workhorses and the support team behind families and businesses. What about our ability to experience transformational performance, our ability to forgive? And so these people are highly creative, highly intuitive, have very perceptual abilities for forecasting and future trends, very agile-minded, quick learners, often very highly artistic and creative, but get bored very quickly. And so what if we had to measure and evaluate on these 5 categories of performance, not just our intellectual and perhaps more recently our emotional performance? And so we need to stop living up to other people's expectations. Now, there's no one to blame in this game. If you do, you disempower yourself because you give other people, things, circumstances, events, control over your emotional state. And we just can't afford to have that anymore. And so are our current models a little outdated? Just consider the stats published by any mental health organization worldwide. Look at the number of prescriptions, depression, anxiety, mood stabilizers, ADHD, ADD medication. All the stats are moving in the wrong direction. The curve is increasing. It's like this, and it's been like this for more than a decade. And so let's just have a look at 2019. And let's just have a small little segment and demographic of kids 0 to 17 years old. This is just taken within the United States, but most models worldwide are very similar. ADHD drugs, 3.3, nearly 3.4 million. Antidepressants, 2.1 million. Antipsychotics, 1 million. Anti-anxiety drugs, 1.3 million. Mood stabilizers, 870,000. New generation psychotherapeutics, 750,000. It's a total of 9.5 million children taking prescription medication. If we then look at the whole picture, it becomes even more frightening. All ages ADHD, 9.6 million. Antidepressants, 44.2 million. Antipsychotics, 11.6 million. Mood stabilizers, 24 million. Anti-anxiety drugs, 32 million. New generation psychotherapeutics, 1.1 million. It's a total of 123 million people taking prescription medication year upon year upon year upon year. Doesn't take a rocket scientist to realize these stats are moving in the wrong direction. But what shakes me to the bone and what keeps me up at night is what happens to these kids when they grow up and they are no longer dependents and they have to enter into the workplace. And so let's just see how deep we're in it. If we are dosing our kids, toddlers, 0 to 1 years old, this is just in the United States, 249,000 0 to 1 year olds are on anti-anxiety drugs such as Xanax. 26,000 0 to 1 year olds, antidepressants such as Prozac and Zoloft. What is going on? This can't be a system that we keep using. 1.4 0 to 1 year olds are taking ADHD drugs such as Ritalin. 651 year olds taking antipsychotics. 2 to 3 year olds, almost 320,000 of them anti-anxiety drugs. 46,000 2 to 3 year olds on antidepressants. 10,000 2 to 3 year olds prescribed ADHD drugs. What is going on? And so it's clear these models aren't working, and yet we're still repeating these same patterns again and again and again. It's time to look at a new framework. One that integrates the entire human operating system. One that is simple, easy to understand and use. A system that empowers you to take back full control of your human operating system, moving you from an environmental reactor that's making things, people, events, or circumstances responsible for your emotional states, and moving you to become the energetic generator of your reality. Lack of time is deemed obsolete at the moment because this is your life. You've only got one. We need to do something with it, and this is the time the world needs you right now. Lack of money is not going to work in the States. It's free. This is my contribution into the world. We need to start changing direction, and we need healthy people. We need to look at new systems. And so the lack of knowledge won't work either, because here it is. Here's your chance to level up. Take accountability and take absolute control of your own mindset. Join today our human operating system training. Harness the greatness that is within you and live your life fueled by passion and purpose. Stop following others and adopting their mindsets just because they're popular or successful. You are the greatest gift given to this world. Your abilities, your talents. All you need is a personal map and manual to fully activate and accelerate your achievements. Not some cookie cutter standard forcing you to fit into a box you weren't designed for or don't belong to in the first place. And so if you're constantly disappointed, living your life in regret, or thinking you've had enough, or looking for a way out, I get it. I've been there. For most of my teenage and my early adult life, I was a casualty of this system. You don't have to be. I was once told that a wise man learns from his mistakes, and a genius learns from everybody else's, and so come learn from mine. I want you to break through the bullshit boundary that's holding you back. In February 2002, I had a near-death experience that would forever change my life. Throughout my teenage years, for about a decade, I was heavily dosed on a cocktail of prescription medications, antidepressants, epileptic medications, mood stabilizers, and for the longest time, I felt I didn't belong in this world. Growing up during an apartheid government in South Africa, I saw the cruelty, the abuse, the unfair treatment of those I loved, those who I considered my family, who looked after me every day, fed me, changed me. While both of my parents went out at work, and they were prejudiced against just because of the color of their skin. I was confused. I experienced an unsupportive, separatist environment that didn't promote individuality or critical thinking. And so through countless bad decisions and reckless behavior, and in a complete overreaction to this restrictive and conservative environment, I took control the only way I knew how, and started to live my life very dangerously. I turned my back on my family, I took a one-way ticket overseas, and that ended up with me dying. After bleeding out on a barroom floor that I was working at in London, my arm ripped open, 3 tendons, my ulnar nerve and artery severed by a glass that was violently aimed towards my face by a patron who obviously didn't like the way that I looked after 5 hours of drinking. And so from this crisis came an incredible amount of change. And after that fateful night, I was given really 2 options. Live my life in the same way I had. I would have an absolute blast, but I would die very young and no one would really remember me or miss me for that fact. Or go back to what I first began in my earlier years before all of this tragedy, and I would live a long life filled with meaning and purpose and be remembered for making a difference and contributing to people's lives. Well, I'm still here, so you don't have to guess which option I went for. And so what you're about to discover has been my quest for over 15 years, uncovering the full spectrum of performance that is your HumanOS. And so welcome to the HumanOS, decoding your human operating system, empowering you to evaluate your potential, enhance your performance, and evolve your talent and experience of life. Life before LifePrint for me was filled with so much anxiety, blame, confusion, doubt, loss, suffering. Every single step that I took was like walking barefoot on broken glass. I blamed my parents, I blamed the schools, I blamed anybody I could. I was so angry, I was confused. I doubted I had any future here at all. I felt like everybody was against me, sticking me into these boxes and deciding my fate for me. I had no idea how toxic the medical industry was. I was being passed around from psychiatrist to psychologist, dosed on a cocktail of numerous medications. I even remember carrying this little white pull box around with me that used to jingle in my pocket like a box of mints. I felt like I was just being told everything and not being able to decide for myself, having to listen to everybody around me when they simply just wouldn't hear what I was really crying out for. I was desperately trying to fit into a world that didn't make any sense to me. I felt completely alone, like I didn't belong on this planet at all. Does this or any of this sound familiar to you? If it does, stick with me, because I was given a diagnosis and labeled as a bipolar manic depressive. And I was told I would need medication and therapy my entire life. Until that fateful day, I turned it all around. Yes, it took me nearly dying to realize the truth, but since that day, I've been on a quest to understand our human operating system and the potential. And believe me, if you have kids, if you're in a relationship, if you're struggling with any label you've been given and disagree with, or even if you're a business leader looking to increase your influence with your team, you're going to want this information, as it will benefit you for the rest of your life and improve every relationship you have. So if you want to discover how to take your control back of your human operating system, feel like life is actually happening for you and not to you, then come join us. Because together, let's reveal your full spectrum of potential so you can enhance your performance, evolve your experience, and live your life fueled by passion and purpose. Hi, I'm Justin Damien Finesse, and getting results at the top level of sports with professional athletes, their families, and everyday people from all over the world, I know what it means and what it takes to be great. I believe in your uniqueness. I believe in you, and I know together is better. Mentoring with doctors and specialists training in cutting-edge modalities, techniques, and strategies, and I've never really been satisfied with the norm, as I'm always searching for people that are on the fringe, thought leaders, visionaries, futurists, who are typically pushing the boundaries of conventional authorities. Those who are always getting consistent, long-lasting, and often miraculous results has equipped me with the tools and knowledge to support you safely through your darkest hours and facilitate you to emerge fully empowered along each step within your journey. And so just take a moment and imagine what life would be like if you too could enjoy the certainty of self and a life fueled by your passion and purpose. When you're no longer impacted by other people's opinions of you, other people's opinions of your ideas or your behavior. When making progress becomes a state of effortless flow for you. This is when you activate your full spectrum of potential and you take absolute control of your HumanOS. Come and accelerate your achievement today. And so if an easier, lighter, happier life that deepens every relationship both with yourself and others is what you desire, then start applying the HumanOS framework today. If your life is already easy, light, happy, and all your relationships both with yourself and others are thriving, then please continue to do what you've always done. And don't apply the HumanOS framework. You're already winning, and that's what we want. Because progress is happiness. And so if you already got that happiness going in your life, you're doing something right, we don't want to change a thing. So come join us, and I'll take you through the HumanOS training. We're going to start off with our physical operating system, a movement and stability program that's going to stretch every single 66 joints within your body. You're going to build stability so that you have the confidence and certainty to move beyond and return safely. We're going to look at your mental operating system, how it's designed, how it's been programmed, how the filters are set up, and give you high performance operating system habits where you can hijack this mental operating system. We're going to teach you your emotional operating system, the energetic currency that you use in your life to interface with your mental operating system to reach the high performance and accelerate your achievement and get your desired results. We're also going to look at a spiritual operating system, one that focuses on meditation and anchoring you to an infinite source of energy and potential to use and to navigate within your mental and emotional operating systems. And like I said before, we're going to give you a whole bunch of high performance habits, and these small incremental little changes for maximizing the results in your life and enjoying a life fueled by passion and purpose. Come join us today.